Hello, hello. Welcome to Love and Lunch, 20-minute Facebook Live with Joe Cooper and Joanna Keeble, talking about love, life, and intimacy. And we'll get into, right? Woo! We're going to get into that good stuff for 20 minutes. We're going to talk a little bit about this festive season. It's got some special challenges with it this year. First, I will say I'm Joanna Keeble. I'm a life coach, and you can find me at bigbeautifulboundaries.com to see a bit about what I do and who I work with. Very excited to say I've just got a new set of certifications. So apart from my original life coaching certification 2017, I've got 3 new certificates to play with in coaching, timeline coaching, NLP, and a whole bunch of new powerful exercises, which are so fun and so powerful. So get in touch if you're interested in any of that. And over to you, Joe.
I love that. Yes, I'm Joe Cooper, dating, sex and relationship coach, and I help women to fully embody their power by knowing exactly what they want and how to ask for it while effectively expressing their needs. So that's what I do. And I have a beautiful Facebook group for women that I'll post below, called Empowering Women to Ignite Their Desires. And yeah, I have Instagram and stuff like that, so I can post the handle below. So yeah, that's me.
Awesome, lovely. So yeah, for this week, it kind of feels like we can't ignore the looming Christian festival of I'll say Christian festival because it was sort of put on 25th of December, but there was another festival before that. And what was coming up for me today was thinking about the challenges that people face this time of year. And this year particularly, there's been some fun ones to deal with. I say fun, obviously, as a way of dealing with some very serious shit with levity. With an attempt at levity. But there's this deep awareness that people are having a difficult time right now. For some people, that will be the same every year. For some people, they've got no interest in Christmas or celebrating right now. And for a lot of people, I think, feeling like Christmas has been cancelled, or having their first Christmas without someone important in their life. So these are very real things. And something that came up for me this morning was sort of recognizing why we celebrate at this time of year. And I'm not going to go all Jesus on you about this. It's more that if you look at the different countries of the world in the middle of the darkest period of the year, we celebrate. And there's lots of festivals that celebrate light and joy and abundance. And it's not because this is a time of light and joy and abundance. It's sort of because it isn't in a lot of ways, right? Human beings have celebrated historically because they need to, because we need something to keep us together as the days get darker and darker and colder and harder, and the food isn't as abundant, right? And so we come and celebrate to remind ourselves of what we're grateful for, and to remind ourselves that there's some hope. And as we sort of hit the winter solstice, celebrate that, yay, the world isn't ending, and it is going to get darker, and let's just take a moment to focus on that. So there's a lot of clinging to hope at this time of year. And I wanted to put that forward for as much as people might feel like it's been cancelled, or for as much as it's a challenging time of year, that's actually sort of part of the whole point for me of taking some time to have some nice stuff, to be extra kind to yourself and give yourself some abundance and remind yourself, that you're alive and you deserve some nice things.
Yeah, I mean, the word extra kind, I think, feels really important to kind of just touch upon. And it's very interesting, this kind of space Well, I guess I can speak for myself really at the moment. Just the space that's happening. There's like, for me, it's like coming to the end of the year, being really like my first year being self-employed and not having a company that does all like the Christmas stuff and the
Right.
paycheck and the holidays. And I'm like, can I really give myself a holiday? Can I really just give myself like a few days break? And I think the thing that's going on for me right now is just like, Joe, just take a couple of days off. And it's that fear around like, oh, if I get off social media, will people want to follow me? Will people listen to what I say? And it's an interesting space being online, and also knowing that, you know, the kind thing I want to do for myself is to be able to just take a period of just rest and to be with family and to take that moment, that kind of nourishment where I can just stay horizontal for a few days and I don't give a fuck. And just a lot of kindness around how I move around the day without a pressure of keeping to some kind of work, and also just knowing that the kindness doesn't just exist in here but in relation to others.
Say more.
Yeah, in relation to others, about, you know, I've just come home to my parents for a couple of days, for yeah, a few weeks, and just thinking, if I'm cultivating, I've been doing a lot of internal work this year, it actually gets tested a lot around family. It
Tested.
gets, it does. And I'm like,
Yeah.
am I this like spiritual being that does this, this, and this? And then I come home and it's like, bam.
Yeah.
It is literally like, and I have to, like, you know, I've been living by myself, and to then come into an environment where things are different. I have to do things. I am now part of a support bubble, and there's things that need doing. And it's like working, and I guess in a way it's like working more in community, and I've probably been more in isolation, to be honest. And it's just like, oh, how can I show up and also be kind for myself but be kind to others? You know, I obviously want to nourish my own needs, but other people have needs as well.
It's an interesting balance, right? So I was writing this morning thinking, what do I want to say today? And I'm writing, lots of dark stuff came out, right? There's a lot that's happened in recent times. But yeah, one of the things that came up was that old chestnut again of fitting your oxygen mask first. And it's kind of, you know, what I want to say is this can be a very depressing time of year. This can be a challenging time of year. And just to kind of remind people that, bring it back to, yeah, that's why your self-care is so fucking important right now. This is not luxury. This is not a luxury. This is about, if you want to stand any chance of showing up in the world with any sort of integrity or any love, you're going to have to prioritize your boundaries and prioritize your self-care so that you can be that person. You know, how you show up in the world can be a, you know, a force for good, if you like. For me, I consider myself a very political person, right? Not perhaps in traditional sense, but I sit somewhere between sort of newfangled hippie and hardcore lefty, and neither of those groups really owns me. I mean, they don't consider me probably one of their own, because I'm somewhere in the middle. But yeah, I'm paying attention to what's going on in the world, and I'm seeing the things that I wish were different, or the places that I think, God, it'd be really good if we could grow there, or what does society actually need there? And for me, it goes full circle, and it comes back round to, I want us to be able to have amazing conversations. I see a huge need for systemic change. And I don't see that we're going to be able to hear each other in that conversation. unless we all take care of our nourishment and self-care and start to sort of break cycles of abuse in our own relationships, so that we can actually come into challenging conversations about the grander scheme of things with something to work with. And as long as no one takes their self-care seriously and no one takes their boundaries seriously on a personal level, we're going to carry on pointing fingers and not actually having the positive change that we want to see. That's one piece. Don't stop protesting, keep protesting.
Yeah,
but
before you go on
yeah,
to the next piece, I just wanted to say that's really important about nourishing yourself, because if I feel, for example, I came back to my parents' house and I was feeling irritated and scratchy, and I hadn't done my practices. I didn't, basically my body didn't feel like it got a lot of nourishment. Then I feel like I would have come into this space, and I don't know, I think there would have been a lot of energy that I may have wanted to, like, kind of, how do I explain it without saying some kind of weird language? Like excess energy where it just kind of fuels for like unnecessary arguments.
Yeah,
But there's a way, yeah, and it's like, for me, just like saying, like, the more I nourish myself and give myself exactly what I need, I can stay fully grounded. And when people come at me with like their mess or their kind of like weirdness, which is okay, it doesn't matter what they're doing, because I am in, I'm really present within myself, and so I'm not what's the word, so I'm not affected. Yeah, I'm not affected. Yeah, I'm not reactional, and I'm not affected by someone else's behavior.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of any argument where one person has gone unconscious, right? One person is triggered, they've flipped, they've reached that, you've hit something tender, and for whatever reason they're now saying, you can't do that, or I'm so angry with you. And that might all be true, but there's a place that they're not able to hear anymore. And sometimes what we do when we're unconscious like that is we're just in pain and we want to continue engaging with the other person, but we're not really engaging in any meaningful way. We just continue talking or we want to be felt, but there's actually no sort of progress to be made in the conversation there. And then if you're the other person and someone is just like, they've gone, you see them and they're like, rah, they're in that place. If you have that capacity to stay grounded, you can actually still sort of move from what makes sense there, instead of getting involved and going unconscious with them and just going, yeah, and just having that that explosive feeling place that doesn't actually progress or heal. Sometimes it's good to feel things. Sometimes it's useful to feel that sort of bitch slap of someone's full rage. But I think often we end up in those, often we end up in those arguments where it's like, this isn't useful, and I can feel it's not useful, and I hate it, but I can't let it go. So yeah, cultivating that capacity to stay grounded. And one thing you said was nourishment, which I think I said that as well. I fucking love that word. I want to point to something there, which is a big piece of nourishment, is something I've mentioned before and I'll mention again, which is digestion. So it's not just consuming, it's not just another mince pie and another Ferrero Rocher. It's also like actually digesting what you've already eaten in the literal sense at Christmas, and sort of in the metaphorical sense as well. Like 2020 has been so much, and there's been hit after hit after hit. Now we're just hit with, for example, in this household, you can't connect with other bits of family for Christmas Day, so the house got hit. And it's about recognizing that's another piece that you need to digest. So I just want to point out that there's a choice there. Either you take time now to let yourself have the feelings, find a way to let yourself be angry or sad or whatever, or tell everyone to fuck off. It doesn't have to be really deep and meaningful, but find some ways to let yourself have some feelings right now, or it will continue to be there, sort of blocking you up. Right?
Totally agree with that.
We talked about gratitude. Joe and I, we were chatting this morning, talking about the importance of gratitude. And for me, I want to do a gratitude inventory. I've got my pen and paper here. I'm gonna spend a bit of time today, put some music on and write down things that I'm grateful for. Part of that is because if I don't do that, I forget all the good stuff, right? We have a negativity bias where we remember all the shit that's happened and we forget all the bright spots and all the good things. So it's not to dismiss the bad, absolutely acknowledge it and feel it and mourn for it. But it's quite good if you can access a bit of gratitude, even the tiniest bit. Spend 5 minutes having a go to access some gratitude. That can really help as well. And to remember some of the bright spots from this year, especially in a year like this.
I love gratitude. It's literally been one of my favorite writing practices this year, because anytime I'm dealing with a lot of, I say dealing, but feeling a lot, dealing,
feeling with,
like feeling a lot of feelings, and I'm like, oh, this feels like too much, you know, especially sometimes, but also when I'm feeling great. Like, gratitudes are brilliant when you're feeling great. They're really ground. They have a visceral kind of like vroom, like this, and I'm just like, oh my god. And I actually feel a lot of love to myself and a lot of love to others, and I'm like, and it just reminds me that all that kind of like excess energy, where I may be remembering a conversation from a couple of days ago, it kind of just pops. It pops so much unnecessary energy, like just feeling like, oh, I'm so grateful I'm having a cup of tea right now. I'm so grateful that I've got clean water. I'm so, you know, just like these things that often I could take for granted, but, you know, just really taking a moment to even just like look around me and like, oh, I'm in a house. These
well, I did.
I'm like, oh my god, yeah. Sorry, go on.
That's all right. I had one of these this morning that I've just remembered now, which is I found myself recently thinking about an old school teacher and feeling really grateful. She is somewhat like there's a lot I didn't get from school. I had a rough time at school, and I went to a couple of rough schools. But this one teacher who also had a difficult time and was strict, and so that was unpopular, and she was challenging, so it was a bit scary. But because she was a bit scary, we did get work done. But there's a couple of things I've noticed about her teaching recently and just felt like, oh yeah, that was really good. Oh yeah, she actually got us to do a bit of artwork in the humanities. And the way she did it made us pay attention to the topic that was coming up, and she awarded us for that. That was awesome. So I noticed some things about her skill as a teacher, and I found it really inspiring. She also taught me to question sources of information. And we did a lot of work on, right, so who wrote that? And what do you think their life was like? And what do you think their intention was and their motivation? And that is the single most valuable thing that I learned at school, to question the source of information and to put myself in the writer's shoes. And in a world like full of fake news today, you know, so useful. But today I found her on Facebook, like the stalker that I am. I didn't add her as a friend. That felt like a bit too far. But I just sent her the message. Now, I don't know if or when she's going to check her message requests, but to just send her that message and let that piece go. That's an example of a positive piece of my life that I'm digesting by feeling into it, thinking about it, composing a message and sending it to her, and just sending it off into the universe and say, thank you. Thank you for that. I appreciate you. This is what I saw. This is my experience.
It's beautiful, really beautiful.
Feels good. So it creates space. It feels better for me. Yeah. Now I see the time, there's something that I would like to do quickly. I would like to go to Mind, because I've been checking out their tips for Christmas and it's really fucking good. And yes, I will share the link, but I also want to pop over here, and it says Christmas and mental health tips for coping during Christmas. Be gentle, generous, and patient with yourself. Manage relationships, look after yourself, talk to other people. Let me see what it says here. I love this quote. I don't really celebrate Christmas and always enjoy taking the day as time just for me, a whole day of self-care and selfishness. Okay, I love that one. What else here? Oh yeah, manage relationships. If other people's questions are difficult, you could plan some answers in advance. I quite like that, just for like energy management, so that you don't have to feel like, oh, someone, I hate the question, how are you? Even if I'm doing well, it often feels exhausting. I don't want to say that to loads. I don't want to answer that question to loads of different people. So yeah, it can be useful to think. You don't have to. I love this. Think about how to end difficult conversations. It's okay to tell someone, right?
Sorry,
It's okay to tell
an image
someone.
of what I do. I just disappear.
That's okay. I'm going to say I'm pro ghosting, but I understand it's stressful for some people. But people also need to know that it's okay, right? So yeah, well, here it says it's okay to tell someone you don't want to talk about something, or to change the subject. It might help to practice what you'll say, suggest an activity or an easy way to move on. If you want help to end an unwanted conversation, you could suggest playing a game or taking a screen break if you're having a video call. If other people don't seem to understand how you're feeling, you could share this information with them. You could also think about writing down how you're feeling. I'm gonna plug my laptop in. You can write it down. You can also say that you don't want to talk about how you're feeling. Here's a quote. I found the way of having a happiest Christmas is doing what's right for me. Making careful choices who I spend my time with, and keeping in mind that it's just one day. The interactions I have with people throughout the year are just as important, like taking the pressure off. All right. And then there's stuff in here about looking after yourself. Oh, this is great. Set a start and finish time for what you count as Christmas. And remember that it won't last forever. There's so much in here. I'm going to add a link because it's like setting boundaries, saying no to things that aren't helpful.
That's brilliant.
There's so much in there. So
That's
I'm going to
brilliant.
share that
I'll circulate it to my family.
Right. Dear family, fuck off. Kiss, kiss, kiss. Link.
Oh, yeah. I just feel like it's a really helpful tool.
It is. And sometimes when we're doing this live stream, or like on the course that I'm almost finished writing now, when I'm talking about healthy boundaries, sometimes it feels like it's really radical. And it's like, well, there's Mind. There's a mental health organization saying, like, have boundaries, say no, it's okay to do what you want. Like, you know, it sounds really basic, but are you doing it, people? Are you actually doing it? Are you doing what you want to do? Do you feel comfortable saying no? Please feel comfortable saying no.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. All right then, my lovely. Should we wrap up?
Yeah, I want to ask a quick question. If anyone wants to drop a comment below, I would love to know how you're going to be extra kind to yourself this festive break. What are you doing to be extra kind to yourself? All right.
I just posted my Facebook group. So lovely women. It's just for women. I'd like to work and do like a men's group actually with another man, but I just, yeah, one step at a time. For now, it's just women. Yeah. It's just women. So yeah, I've posted my link. If you are or define yourself as a woman, then please come into the group. We would love to have you there. Yeah, where I post regular lives and information, all things based around relationship, dates, and intimacy.
Nice. So yeah, you can find me at bigbeautifulboundaries.com. There's information there about my course. You can also sign up. There's a bar at the top of the screen if you want to sign up to my mailing list. I'm not big on mails. People on that list must feel really neglected because
Yeah, me
I can't be
too.
asked to spam people all the time. I kind of wish I could. But yeah, you're not signing up for a huge commitment to daily spam if you do that. But it is a place that I will drop some special offers, and I'll drop information about my events and stuff like that. Yeah, and then here we go. Here comes the festive break, and I'd love to know how people are taking care of themselves. I'll drop a link to my Facebook group as well, because we're
Yeah,
offering a
that'd
little
be
bit of support
amazing.
in there.
Super duper.
All right, Chica,
All right, then we
that's
will love you
everything.
and leave you. And yeah, Joanna will post in the Mind link for everyone.
Yeah,
And so if you want to share it with your family and friends, please do.
just have a fucking read. Please have a little read. It's
Mm.
lovely layout, very easy to read, and it will resonate.
Okay. Lots of love.